Alright, so let's move on. Before I actually continue though, I've been looking at this for a second before I started recording, and I kind of want to take some of these cooler tones out of the ears, behind the ears. Just doesn't seem very logical to me. And ultimately I'm going to get warmer tones in there to get the blood flow. So I'm actually going to go back into my cool tones, and I'm going to grab this AO mask, and I'm going to paint it back a bit. Like so. Maybe keep a little bit of it inside the ear, but definitely taking most of it away. Because we do get those kind of cool purples as we go inside the ear a bit, which I'd like to preserve. Let's check this out. Good. And now obviously take this back. All the way around the ear. Same thing on the other side. And there we go. So I'm happier with that. And we fold in these dark tones. It's working a bit better for me. Just take a little bit more out so we're not getting that shadow effect, but just using it for color variation, like so. Cool. Really happy with this. Now from here, we're going to go the opposite direction and add some lighter tones. So again, I'm going to grab this AO here, copy and paste, AO lighter tones, and what I want to do is add a levels. And I just want to adjust this a bit. What I'm trying to do is just getting the top areas of the face. That's what I'm trying to get, trying to isolate for this mask. And again, I'm going to do a slight tone down on this, and I'm going to screen and then fade it back. So this is doing two things for me. It's getting some lighter variation in the face, but it's also what I like to call powder coating some of this really fine detail. So this fine detail isn't equally strong all over the face. In fact, it's working in exactly the areas I want it to work. Where once you get in the crevices of places, you get more of that fine detail showing out, and when you get on the tops areas, it's a little less. Again, this is too much for me, so I'm going to add another layer mask, and I'm going to start painting some of this away with a very soft brush. Again, at this stage of the process, it's very gestural, so I'm just trying to get the feel for the overall skin. Nothing crazy. Again, I'm fading a lot of this out and in, so it's not an exact mirror of my AO, because I don't want that to show up and kind of conflict when ambient occlusion eventually is dialed back in. I just want it very, very subtle. Like so. That's feeling pretty good so far for me. I'm going to leave it on the tips of the ears here, but I do want to bring it back a bit, so I'm actually going to paint into the AO itself. And I'm going to create this and convert it to paintable. This is a bit of a destructive process, however you have to remember that this AO map that I'm using as a basis is black and white, so I'm treating it as kind of a double mask. I'm masking the mask. So this allows me to be a little bit more flexible. Just painting right into it. I don't want to go completely dark. But again, I don't want to flatten things out too much. So it's just a balance that you play with. So again, things don't feel like general ambient occlusion shadows. And you're just getting in certain areas. So it eliminates that risk of looking like AO. There we go. So I'm getting closer to the result I'm looking for. I want to now move into the lip area. I want his lips to be a tad shade darker than his skin. So for that, I'm going to add a hue saturation value. This is one I use a lot actually, if you haven't noticed already. And just going to go for a slightly darker tone, and then I'm going to reveal all. Sorry, I'm going to hide all. And I'm going to paint into that mask for the lip area. I'm going to start here in the UVs and then bring it on over to the 3D view. Just make sure that everything's oh man, I always do this. Make sure everything's lined up. I always accidentally hit the V key, which brings up this new vector painting thing, which we don't use in the film industry. There we go. So I'm going to go back here and just take a quick look. Paint some of this back. And I've already found some seams that I want to quickly remedy. Go back to pulling out that edge there. And bring this lip up a bit. Again, this is the broad strokes. That's all I'm worried about at this point. Now we're getting a little bit more definition on where these lips are going to be. So we're getting that slightly darker tone. It's really helping out. Now we're going to go the opposite direction. Now we want to get some warmth into this character. So I'm going to grab the original tiled, copy and paste it, bring it up here, base skin warm, and then I'm going to add a HSV again. Drag that open and do some shifting. actually, sorry, turn this on. So you can actually see what's going on. And then I'm going to add a color balance. Again, this all seems kind of premeditated, and it's because I'm just dialing in tones that I've done before, just to keep things consistent with the look that I've already done. But again, this ends up being kind of a back and forth exploration for you guys when you start doing it. So this is a nice warm tone that I'm happy with. However, I'm not going to worry about these seams because we're going to be adding these warm tones to areas that actually don't have seams, so I'm not too concerned with that. I'm going to add a layer mask to hide everything. And in this mask, I'm just going to reveal these warmer tones inside the ears. Like so. So we're getting that really nice fleshy tone, which is okay to have slightly folded in to your color, your epidermal color, because that actually does exist there. So you can see systematically how I'm building all this stuff up very methodically. There's always a reason for it. I'm not too worried about behind the ear in terms of seams and stuff, because 9 times out of 10 you don't really see this stuff. But again, because it's non-destructive, it's something I can very quickly remedy on the fly if need be. Just being very gestural with this. Getting a feel for the tones. Awesome. And now I want to add a little bit of warmth in certain parts of his face, just to give a little bit extra life. Very, very subtle. But definitely necessary. It's super subtle, but it really drives it home in terms of getting a little bit extra life in the skin. In fact, I even want to bring it in ever so slightly in his lips. Just a touch. Awesome. So the skin's really coming together now. We're getting a really interesting color variation mixed in with the fine detail. I'm really happy with kind of the splotchiness of the skin. That's going to play real nicely once we continue the fine detail work. But for right now, the broad strokes are really in there, and you can really tell when you pull back and see that variation going on in the face. But I want to make sure that I'm not getting this kind of, when I pull back I see this darker neck back there, and I just want to pull that back a bit. So I'm going to grab the mask here, pull that back. And that's not enough. I'm actually going to convert this to paintable. Do the same thing I did with the lighter tones. And I'm going to do a paint through just by clicking this little paint icon. That's paint through, and that's just paint on the current surface that you see. And I'm going to just paint through with white. So you can see that's lightening it up. And just project that right through. And do the same thing actually for here, so we can just even it up a bit. Cool. Very good. I'm going to end this recording now, and we're going to do a couple more quick color tweaks, and then we will be done for this week in terms of some of the demos I'll be showing you. And so I want you guys to explore these methodologies that I'm using with the AO map and using clever masking tricks and color variation to get the tonality that we need to bring this guy to life.